I almost wanted to call this piece "Everything is Terrible" because I just walked away being like, God damn it, this drought is insane, and it's projected that these are going to be more frequent and more intense. Hey, I'm Nilo Tabrizy. I'm a journalist here at Vice News. We're going to chat about my piece on the drought. It's called Race to the Bottom. So, Michael, do you have any questions for us?
I have lots of questions, but even better than me asking questions, I've got some people on the internet who are going to ask you questions.
Cool.
So let's say hey to Eileen, who's calling us on Skype from Iowa, somewhere in Iowa, right, Eileen?
Cedar Falls, yes. Great place.
Hey, Eileen, how's it going?
It's good. How about for you?
Pretty good, pretty good. How can I solve all of your drought problems?
Well, we're actually getting some rain down here in Iowa, but we obviously hear about the array of problems that are causing California's drought. And I just want to ask, in your opinion, why is the general public hearing about this now? And kind of when it's to the point where it's unsustainable to come back from?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, I think what I think is probably the answer is that people don't really care unless it's happening to them. It's really, really hard to care about something that's going on in a state, even though it's a state that maybe provides a ton of the food for the rest of the country. It's really hard to start caring until it gets to that breaking point. So that's probably why we're hearing a lot about it now, and we've heard a lot about it in the past 6 months. It's really, really ramped up.
What do you think are the top 3 reasons why?
Why the drought is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one is just lack of rainfall, right? So the main sources of water for California are snowpacks and water from rivers, lakes, and streams. So if you're not getting that snow or you're not getting that rainfall, there's little to no water that people are getting from surface water sources. And so that leaves farmers figuring out what they're going to do because they're the people that use, or the industry that uses the most water in the state because you need a lot of water to grow food. So you're kind of stuck in this situation where you have to make do with what you can or use an alternate source of water.
Thank you. That gives a really good overview for people out of state kind of tuning in. So in regards to the lose it or use it policy that you said in your video, would you think it's plausible at this time to create a program to donate the unused water back to the public?
Yeah, I mean, anything that has to do with changing the water rights system in California is just really, really tough to do. These rules have been set over 100 years ago, and there's a very, very strong agricultural lobby in the state. There's a lot of interest to keep the system the way it is, even though it might not be the best fit for the drought. So yes, I think there's a way that we can change it, but there's got to be a political will. People are going to have to sacrifice having it good for so many years to ensure that we have enough water for the future. So the change is going to be really, really hard. I mean, California passed its first groundwater law a year ago. So that's taking water from beneath the Earth's surface. And that law, it was met with a lot of tension. Politicians from both sides of the aisle really didn't want a groundwater law to be passed at all. And so it was finally passed, but some people say it's kind of toothless because it doesn't really regulate groundwater until 2040. So you can see how tough it was just to change that one part of water use in California when it comes to agriculture. So we can change it. It's just going to be really, really tough.
Do you think there'll be, do you think it can be like a collaboration of the public and the agriculture groups, or will it be more of a fight, more of a collide on getting maybe like a donation of the water, getting them to finally not use so much water?
I think it's always going to be tense. I mean, water wars in California, I mean, people have been fighting for water since people have come to the state. So I think it's always going to be a tense battle because this is a resource that we need for everything. And so, yeah, I think that there definitely needs to be cooperation, but is it going to be easy? Probably not.
All right. So since I'm from Iowa, I just want to ask, how can other states help California in its situation if you think they can? And also maybe how can they take from this hardship? Can they use it as an example? Can they really learn from it? Is it just kind of, are we already experiencing these problems?
Yeah, I think an interesting takeaway we can look at with California is to maybe take away some lessons of some of the mistakes that the state has made and is now trying to rectify. I mean, all the problems with water in California existed before the drought, and during the drought, it's just kind of like taken the sheet off of it and put it really just right center in the public eye. So I think the biggest thing that we can take from California is that groundwater management needs to happen immediately, and it can't just be let's just have a law that in 2040, by that time, that's when we need to start monitoring how much water we're taking from the ground and restricting it. That's something we need to do right away. And we can see that because California has among the highest rate of groundwater depletion in the world, that arguably it's been happening because there's little to no regulation. So let's learn from that for other states that might have to go down the same road.
Yeah, that's pretty good for me at this moment.
Awesome.
So.
Well, thanks so much for asking your questions. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Nilo.
Very cool.
Yeah. Hey. Hey, Eileen. Thanks for coming on the show. So, Nilo, we got a couple more people who want to ask you questions. And let's talk to Matt, who's actually in California. Matt, you there?
Hey, I'm Matt. I'm from California.
Cool.
Yeah, hey, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just trying to, take a shower, but I can't because there's no water. Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you do in California?
I'm a pistachio farmer. My family, we're pistachio growers near the Central Valley, kind of near Bakersfield. So the drought has affected our family business, and it's been in our family for just under 30 years. Pistachio trees last, a very long time, so it'll be around for a while. Definitely through this drought, just got to power through it. And from my experience, in the field, I have a few questions after you visited some fields. Do you think that there are truly some crops that use a lot more, groundwater, well water, any kind of water? Or do you think that, everyone in the whole agriculture industry should be held equally responsible?
I think everyone should be held responsible because it's a community thing, right? I think we're not really going to get anywhere if we blame one crop over another or one area of the state over another. I think the industry needs to band together, but that's a really tough thing to do.
Right. Yeah. So do you think that certain types of high water usage crops should be banned from the area in California, which is most severely affected by the drought? Do you think that's fair, or do you think that everyone in a certain area should be metered by the state of California to only allocate a certain amount of water?
Yeah, I think that what might be a good answer for that is to start really monitoring today how much groundwater people are using. That's something that's not done. I think as soon as we start really monitoring and seeing how much water is used, that might be a good first step. But outright going and banning one kind of crop, I don't think is going to really solve the problem.
What do you think about the concept of paying for water to be delivered, let's say to your farm and stored in silos or giant reservoirs? If like the aquifers run out, as we've seen, they're just drilling away.
Yeah, I think that paying for water and storing it, I think that just is going to mean that only people or farms with a lot of money are going to survive. It's going to push out a lot of the small farmers, which is going to be pretty unfortunate.
Did you visit any farms that had meters on their water pumps?
I don't think we did. Is that something that your family does with your pistachio farms?
No, but it's something that's going on in certain areas of the Central Valley, and certain areas are not being metered, and that's the current situation right now that is a little bit difficult for some areas that are metered and some that aren't and are not. And so I was just wondering if that was something that you noticed, but maybe in the area that you visited, it was not metered yet because it could have had the senior water right people.
Yeah, no, I don't think we visited any metered farms.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for answering my questions.
Cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, Matt. Thanks a lot, man. So, Nilo, as you can probably guess, we've got some more people on the internet who want to talk to you. Let's talk to Eric. He's on Skype, and I think he's in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep, that's me. Hi, Nilo.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
Good. So I have been writing about the drought for a few months for Slate, and I also did a trip out there last year and didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted to. But it seems like we sort of came to similar conclusions that it's just like daunting. I mean, to drive. I grew up in Kansas, and driving through the Central Valley was agriculture unlike anything I've ever seen. It was just so mind blowing. Where you have these giant dairy farms right next to vineyards, and I mean, everyone wants to think that oh, California wine is so like, you know, beautiful vineyards up on the hill and everything. It's just like mass produced in the middle of a feedlot, basically. It was crazy to me to see that. But I don't know if did you have any like really striking image that you brought away from your trip?
Yeah, I mean, the only times that I've ever visited California have been on the coast. So actually being able to go inland and being in the valleys, you would just drive up and just be overwhelmed with all the different agriculture. You'd see orchards and everything. And to me, what was the most striking was seeing all the baby orchards being planted. And I couldn't help but just have like Star Wars Empire Strikes Back theme song, like March of the Stormtroopers, just in my head as I saw all those tiny, tiny trees being grown at the height of the drought. But yeah, so that was really interesting for me to see.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is super important to remember is that the more trees that are planted, the more this extreme water use gets locked in for years and years to come. And so it's not just like a rice field or cotton or something like that can just be shut down if there's an extreme drought. Like they have to just basically cut these trees down if they don't if they run out of water for them or that investment is losses. So in your conversation with the farmers, did you talk about the future at all? I mean, like 5 to 10 years down the road, are they thinking that far out? Or because the longer term climate projections are truly terrifying. I mean, this is like permanent drought for decades.
Yeah.
And I know that this is a particularly strong drought the last few years, but it seems like this is just kind of like a preview of the future.
I know, I almost wanted to call this piece Everything is Terrible because I just walked away being like, God damn it, this drought is insane. And it's projected that, you know, these are going to be more frequent and more intense. But yeah, farmers that I spoke to, I mean, the thing that struck me the most is that the eternal optimism that they have, like farmers have to be eternal optimists, right? They have to believe that it's going to rain. And so people that I talked to 5, 10 years down the line, when I asked them, what do you think their business is going to be like? Everyone was very adamant, like, we're going to be here. The future of California farming is going to be here and we're going to make it. And this is just a dry spell. So I think, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like they have to believe that because it is so difficult right now. Not to say that farmers think that this is a normal, you know, weather pattern and everyone thinks this way, but everyone that I spoke to was really just unfailingly optimistic. They didn't have any plans for less water use. They just said that we're going to make it through and we're going to be there.
It just seems like there's such a sharp disconnect between what the science is saying and
Totally.
I mean, did they talk about climate change at all? Or I mean, because I know that this is a really conservative part of the state, and you did a great job highlighting how. I just got this thing on Twitter where they said, "Be sure to emphasize that the drought is a real bitch bastard." So it's like this is something that is just slapping people in the face, and like you said, it's just the people with money come out on top, and I don't know if there's any way to break that cycle, but it just, I mean, it feels like the people that are benefiting now will continue to benefit in an even more pronounced way as the drought gets worse.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there is a really sharp disconnect with what, you know, Jay Famiglietti, the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory scientist, was saying and what other farmers that we were speaking to were saying. Farmers were saying that this is just a dry period and we're going to move past it. And Jay was like, everything is terrible and we need to conserve water immediately. Yeah, so there is that disconnect, but people definitely are feeling the effects of the drought. And what's really interesting is that the techniques to save water, you know, different kinds of irrigation that are more specialized, that's really expensive. You know, it costs a lot to be more efficient. So the people that are going to come out on top are people that can afford to be more efficient.
Yeah, and those are the people that are torpedoing the whole system, you know, with like their contributions to politics, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem fair. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, everyone wins except nobody, so it's super fun.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you for this story. It's super important. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you very much for coming on, my friend Eric. That was very nice of you.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Nilo.
I have a surprise for you.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
I think just running on the theme that everything is terrible, I think it'd be really great to cut to clip number 4, where I've been talking about Jay Familietti, our NASA JPL scientist that we talked to. It'd be really cool to hear from him and what he's been saying.
That sounds great. Why don't we show you that clip then?
Do you have any kind of idea of how much depletion we've seen and how much groundwater we have left in the state?
We've been, over the last 4 years, using 5.5 trillion gallons of groundwater per year. There's all kinds of issues that suggest that we are past sustainability tipping points.
How drastic of a change do you have to make to get back there or try to?
Right. We're not coming back, I don't think, to sustainability, meaning we only use the amount that's being replenished. So I think that our best bet is to figure out how to slow the rate of depletion.
That sounds depressing.
It is depressing.
Well, now that I've depressed you, that was a clip from Jay Familietti. And yeah, I mean, he's really adamant that we have to conserve what we have left. And I think that the reason why we're in the place that we are is that groundwater exploration is very new. And that's something that Jay's been pioneering at NASA. So yeah.
All right. So, hey, yesterday I talked to someone on the internet. His name was David Cox. He is a math teacher, and he lives in Porterville, California, which is one of the most affected places by the drought. He sent us a couple of questions for you via direct message. So I want you to take a look at these. 2 things he wanted to know. Are there crops that should be grown in California because the conditions are best for those crops in California? And 2, are there some crops that could be grown elsewhere because there aren't the same water problems in other places? What do you think about that?
Yeah, these are great questions. So I'll start with number 1, partly to prove that I'm not an almond hater, which is the entire internet has been saying that I hate almonds. But almonds are actually really well suited to grow in California because California is a Mediterranean climate, and that's where almonds have been grown traditionally. And just the issue that some critics have been having with almonds being grown in California is just the outright explosion of almond orchards in the state. They've doubled their acreage in the past 10 years, and so when that's happening during the drought, that's kind of problematic with a water-intensive crop. So number 2, what crops can we grow elsewhere? Dairy can be grown mostly anywhere, so it would be great to see that. Maybe move out of California, see what that does for the drought. The problem is, I mean, dairy garners a lot of money for the farming industry, so it'd be tough to move that economy out of the state.
Yeah, that's very true. David, I hope that answers your questions. Thanks for sending those to us. Nilo, how do you feel about talking to some more people on Skype?
I would love nothing more.
All right, then. That's a good thing we've got Roberto here for you. Let's say hi to Roberto.
Hey, Roberto.
Hi, Nilo. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm great. I'm in North Carolina, so it's pretty hot and humid, and it rained like crazy yesterday. So I know that you guys, the people in California could use this kind of rain. I actually have friends and family in California, friends in the Central Valley, and they were telling me about how difficult it has been for them. Now, on that note, my question for you is what impact do you think the drought has on vulnerable communities like the Latino farm workers with this drought?
Yeah, I mean, overall, the job loss numbers that we've seen in California haven't been as low as it's been projected during this drought because of just how much groundwater is being used by the ag industry. So they're using a different source of water and being able to just completely not ruin all of the jobs in the industry. But having said that, I talked to a farmer outside of Los Banos, and he was telling me he's had farmers that have worked, or farm workers who have worked for him for decades, and he has to lay them off because he's fallowing his fields. Maybe he doesn't have the option to lean on groundwater like other farms do. So yeah, on the micro level, absolutely, people are being impacted.
Now, on the climate side, one of the things that is really interesting about climate change that is actually visible is extreme events like rainfall and droughts and heat waves. And you mentioned climate change at the end of your piece. And I want to know, what is it about climate change that is going to make the droughts worse? Why is it going to make the droughts worse in the future?
So I am not the best person to answer this question. The best person is Rob Eshelman. He is our environment editor. So you can just send him a barrage of tweets at Robert S. Eshelman. But just kind of the light answer is that our climate is changing. The amount of rainfall and snowfall that we're getting is, not going to be the same. Water isn't going to be this amazing, abundant resource from surface water that we've seen, for hundreds of years past. So this is going to be our new normal. So droughts like this are projected to, continue to happen and to get worse. But to get to the nitty gritty, Rob is definitely your man.
Great. That's good to know. I'll definitely send him a few tweets. Now, on that note, there are certain things in the natural variability of the climate that do tend to quench the thirst of places like California. And one of those is El Nino. And this year we're supposed to get a pretty powerful El Nino. At least that's some of the projections. What do you think the copious amount of rain that might occur will do to the drought? Will it make a significant dent in the drought, or will it just not be enough at all?
Well, I just read a figure that NASA predicts that we'll need about 11 trillion gallons of water to end the drought. So if it rains that much, everything, I guess, is going to be great, maybe. But no, it'd be great to have water to replenish our surface water, to have enough water back in our rivers, lakes, and streams. But it's not going to solve the problem of all the groundwater that we're depleting. This takes millions of years for these aquifers to build up these water sources for us to use. So that, the groundwater is not going to, it's a finite resource, unfortunately. So a lot of rain would be great, but I don't think it'll solve all of California's problems.
Oh, nuts. Oh, well. Well, here's to hoping that it's a really, really big El Nino and then hits California the way that at least the water part of it.
11 trillion gallons of water, please. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and just hopefully not too many really detrimental impacts like landslides, but the water part would certainly help. Well, thank you for answering my questions, and you did a really great job with the documentary.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
All right, so hey, Nilo, we're almost at the end of the show, but we got this one tweet that I want you to take a look at from Century360. He or she has been hearing a lot about Nestle's bottling plant in California, and wondering, is that really a significant problem? Or, why did you decide to focus on agricultural uses of water as opposed to looking at Nestle?
Well, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that as well, Nestle's bottling plants in California, and as well in Canada, where I'm from. There's a lot of, internet petitions and stuff like that. But the water use of agriculture absolutely dwarfs Nestle's bottling plant. So that's maybe why it's not getting enough attention. So I think it'd be really cool if we just could throw to our first clip where you can see exactly what it looks like from above when farmers are using flood irrigation to flood their fields. It's a method that's used in almost half the farms in California.
So we're flying over this big irrigation canal, drainage canal. So yeah, we're directly over those fields right there.
And that's all flooded.
Yeah, so to the right of us, you can see the reflection. That's all rice fields that are flooded. Almost all the rice in California that's grown is grown with flood irrigation. We're really talking, 19th, 20th century technology here.
This is what California looks like at the height of the drought. Acres and acres of flooded fields.
So yeah, that's one of the main methods of irrigation that we're seeing in California. So that's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water indeed. So, I think that brings us to the end of our show. If you guys want to keep the conversation going, you can find us on Twitter. But Nilo, why don't you say goodbye to the people at home?
Yes, thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any further questions about the drought, about any of your feelings, you can tweet me at @Tabrizy or at Vice News.
As climate change is projected to make California's periodic droughts more frequent and intense, water issues will keep plaguing the state. And between an outdated water system built over 100 years ago and controversial new groundwater legislation that doesn't go into effect for another 25 years, things seem likely to get worse.